What's that? You want a deck profile of the Skull Servants? Ah, okay then. Let's go.
Skull Servant. Men want to be him, and women think they can change him. But he's the cool dude who everyone wants to be friends with. He's got many imitators, but there's only one Skull Servant. Well, Skull Servant is resilient. No matter how many times you try to kill him, he will come back again, and again. He will find you, and you'll probably kill him again. But he will come back again. It doesn't even matter, because the Skull Servant are plentiful. Confusing, I know. Skull Servants are everywhere you look nowadays. You never know. One might be watching you right now.
Alright, so Skull Servant. A lot of people thought the new support he was getting was going to make Skull Servant obsolete in its own deck. Well, the new support kind of makes Skull Servant mandatory, so let's get into the deck profile real quick. Triple Skull Servant, the OG version. Triple King of the Skull Servants, because he's your win condition, I guess. Triple Lady of the Lady in White, triple of her. The good thing about her is she becomes a Skull Servant in the graveyard. Also, this card is kind of needed at 3, and the 2200 defense is pretty good anyway. White Mare. I was playing 3, but I bumped this guy down to 2 just because its effect doesn't go off as often as you'd like. It is good to alert darkness, banish the King of Skull Servants, discard White Mare, bring it right back. It's really nice when stuff like that happens. But the only other way you really banish is with King of the Skull Servants anyway. And the other thing about this guy is he's also a Skull Servant while in the graveyard. So it's really cool. And now the new support card for the deck. It really speeds up. Of course it's treated as a Skull Servant while in the graveyard. And it has 2 cool effects. The first one is the one I use mostly. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send to the graveyard from your hand or deck, or both, 1 copy of each Skull Servant and the Lady in White. That's why you need 3 of each, because you want to have preferably them in the deck, so that you don't have to discard a card from your hand. But yeah, this card's pretty nice. 0 attack, 0 defense on this guy, probably for combo plays with Reoccurring Nightmare or something. But basically you only have this as target, so I'm not running Reoccurring Nightmare, but I guess you could think about that. As another effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and 2 copies of Skull Servant. Of course, all of these count as Skull Servant except for the King of the Skull Servant. And then you can summon 1 King of the Skull Servants from your deck. I never really used that effect, since you'd have to have a lot of Skull Servants in your graveyard for that to be worthwhile. It's basically a heavy cost Mizuki, and I am playing Mizuki. I have like a mini zombie engine, 1 zombie master, 2 Mizuki and 1 goblin zombie. Goblin zombie is the floater who can pretty much search for anything in the deck other than Armageddon Knight and your lady. But you don't really want to search this out anyway, since Prince can send it to the graveyard. Double Mizuki. The good thing about this card is it's a natural beater, which early game is kind of good, and plus if it dies, it just helps, you know. Zombie Master. He's kind of like the master of the zombies, plus Skull Servant is actually in the artwork, as you probably saw from the intro if I put it on. It also gives you access to rank 4 plays. And what I was going to say about Zombie Master, you can get rid of Mizuki. Mizuki's much better than White Prince for reviving King. Well, I suppose you can't summon it from the grave. I mean, you can't summon it from the deck, I mean, but generally you'll be okay. Goblin Zombie you can search out, or you can 1 for 1 for it. Or, I don't know, duality helps you get into it. You know, usually you're okay for King of the Skull Servants. This mini engine you have here, it's, it's kind of, you don't want to overclog it because you want your skull servants, enough skull servants to make your king really powerful, but these cards really do help, and Mizuki especially, since you can banish it, bring out this guy, and it doesn't reduce the number of skull servants in your grave, so that's really good. And to end the monsters, we have 2 Armageddon Knight. It's a really, 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 really good early game. Send your White Prince straight to the grave, and then you send each one of the Skull Servant and the Lady. So that's deck thinning by 3, plus you got 3k attack for your king, whenever you get it. Mid game is okay. It would be a lot better if Mizuki was at dark, but obviously that would be a bit too good. But, worst case scenario, you can at least just Foolish Burial anything. And also you can send King of the Skull Servants to the graveyard if you have Mizuki. So it's good general setup. Plus you have Foolish Burial as well. As sort of like the third Armageddon Knight. You also have Dark Hole and Lightning Vortex. These 2 cards are basically, you clear the field for your King of the Skull Servants to attack directly. Plus, Lightning Vortex, discarding 1 card, you can get rid of your White Prince if you have one in your hand, and then send a Skull Servant and a Lady to the grave, and you basically just bump this up by 3k even stronger. So it's really good. Book of Life, so like your third Mizuki, but unlike Mizuki, it's not very good early game, since it's a good top deck card, but 1700 attack sort of makes this card worthwhile in the early game. Allure Darkness, like I said, it's actually got very good synergy with White Prince. You can banish King of the Skull Servants, and I think it summons, yeah, you can banish the Lady of the White, bring it back with this if you want. I never did that though. Mass Change Second. This card's actually pretty nice if you have a good masked hero for a certain attribute which you're using, then I'll probably consider teching it in to future decks. But this card's especially good since the discard you can get rid of the White Prince, or you can send a White Prince to the graveyard. And the cool thing about this card is its effect is not once per turn, so you could even have one on your field, one in your hand, get rid of both of them, bring out Dark Law, and then Foolish Burial, 2 Skull Servants and 2 Ladies, which is amazing setup. Reason why Dark Law is so good is because it's a Macrocosmos, but it's not a Macrocosmos for you. So you banish all your opponent's cards basically, and it's got 2400 attack, which is pretty decent for this deck. I mean, it's not as good as like 6000 attack, but it's really good, since even if they add cards to the hand, then you can get rid of a random card from the hand. So it's really good. Yeah, Masked Heroes with Mass Change Second in random decks. I might be testing this out in other ones, but Dark Law I think is probably the best Masked Hero. Acid is pretty cool, but whatever. We're going off track here. Double Mystical Space Typhoon, General Back Row Destruction, 1 for 1. It's pretty good to get a Skull Servant King from your deck, as well as you can get rid of a White Prince from your hand and set up the graveyard even more, bring it out. Very powerful. Good. Duality, you don't really special summon too much on your turn, with the exception of 1 for 1 or Book of Life or Mizuki. You don't really special summon too much, but so Duality is just good in any deck like that. 1 Black Horn of Heaven, sort of like a substitute for Solemn. The only reason I'm not running Solemn, I don't like it. I only really like Solemn in stun decks, I guess, and this is not really a stun deck. But you could play if you want. Bottomless, Torrential. Torrential is really good with White Prince. Everfate's really good with White Prince, really, especially early game. Compulse, 1 D Prison, 1 Mirror Force, and double Phoenix Chain. Just general good cards to have. Alright, for the extra deck, the double Dark Law, since I have double Mass Change. Never really brought out to you ever, but you know, it's always good to have. For rank 4s, I only have 4 of them. Oh wait, I have 5 of them. Silly me. Even though rank 4s don't happen very often, rank 4 is the best. So, best Dweller can shut down certain decks to the point where you just won't lose. Exciton is really good at blowing up everything and basically helping you make a comeback. Lavarvo Chain is good for any deck what needs the Foolish Burial cards or setup cards. I probably should have been playing Dark Elm Dragon, I didn't think about that. Oh well. 101, one of the best rank 4s out there. Just, you know, suck up a monster, pretty good. And Ragnar Zero, just like a Abyss Dweller, it can be very good against certain decks. So this, I don't really go into the extra deck too much in this deck, so I figured it would be worthwhile to play. And then for rank 1s, play number 13 and number 31. These 2 cards are only worth playing if you can get both of them out, which you can never do in this deck really. Generally, if you have a level 1 monster survive on the field, it's going to be King of the Skull Servants, but you don't really want to overlay this guy. The only time I made a rank 4 I think was with White Prince, and which was set, and then White Mare, which I did, which its effect wasn't doing anything, so I overlaid for Slacker, and Slacker is pretty good still. And basically this card gets its effect whenever it goes to the grave, so you can detach it and do some random stuff. You know, rank 1s aren't very good in this deck anyway. Oh wait, no, I summoned Dullahan. So Dullahan's probably the only one worth running. These 2, you're never going to get them both out. Utopia Roots is okay, but meh. And Slacker's okay. I mean, anyway, rank 3s, Levier, Zenmains, and Requip Engineer. So, I don't know. This is my deck, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!
Skull Servant. Good stuff.
I've been on YouTube since '09, so to give it up so easily would be a crime. So I'll take it back now. Thanks for your time.